I, Vampire number 14, written by Joshua Hale Fialkov, art by Andrea Sorrentino. This is the last issue that Sorrentino is doing the entirety of the art for, and I will get into that at the end. Anyway, last issue we had the entire gang meeting up at the cabin of Deborah Dancer because Andrew wanted to attack there. Sure, why not? And we get a little flashback here as to who Deborah was, and turns out that she was pretty much a lover of Andrew for a while. So getting into this scene, she has gotten a bit older and the fight starts to break out and Andrew's like, oh no, 3 of my exes. Sorry, girls, but none of you meant anything to me. And Mary's like, yeah, you're not good at the psychological aspect, Andrew. Don't try to pull that. And John's like, did you just call me one of your exes? I'm not one of your exes. So Andrew's just taunting them a little bit. And John's like, here's the thing, Andrew, you don't know anything about me. And Andrew's like, and he pulls out like a water balloon. And Andrew's like, holy water? Are you serious? And he's like, no, it's kerosene. And he throws it as Mary shoots a flaming arrow that just incinerates the both of them and sets the whole cabin up in flames. And they drag Deborah out and they're like, she's like, no, my dog, Mishkin is in there. And we get a little breakdown as to how Mishkin was a man who fought alongside Andrew and Deborah, and he lost his mother to Mary, actually. And so they joined the fight in order to beat back the vampires. He died for Andrew's life, and the dog was named after him. But then the dog, having made its way out of the house that's on fire, comes out, and it seems like everything's fine. And Andrew comes out and just snaps the dog's neck because he needs a pick-me-up. So the rest of the group runs into the woods as Andrew feeds on the dog briefly. Tig comes rolling out of the fire like, jeez, this sucks. And Andrew brings the dog back to life now with, vampiric abilities and says like, all right, now Mishkin, go find some food. And Mishkin runs into the woods, seemingly chasing after the gang. But it turns out it was all just some editing playfulness, and Mishkin actually attacks a hunter that's in the woods. And once Andrew arrives, he tells Mishkin to sit, and they start feeding on the hunter. So Deborah, John, and Mary are making their way in a car down the road and saying like, all right, well, they're not coming after us. Otherwise, they'd already be on top of us. So what are we doing? And we see that Andrew and them are literally already on top of them, but they're not attacking as of yet because they got to wait until the right moment to dash all of their dreams and hopes. So they make their way to Logan International Airport in Boston, and they fill in Deborah on the theory that in order to save Andrew, they have to kill the person who infected Andrew to begin with. Who, again, I thought is common knowledge is Kane, but it doesn't seem like they're playing that, so maybe not. So at that point, Deborah's like, well, what do you need me for? Like, I'm just a person. I'm just a normal human. I've seen horrible things, yeah, but like I don't know if I can help here. And they basically says like, look, if you need to learn something about Andrew, Mary here is the one who is an expert on him. And Mary chimes up like, no, I love the man that I wanted him to be. You love the man that he was. That's why we need you. So cutting into outside the Oblivion Bar in New York City, a magician makes his way inside. I don't think we get his name outright, but then Tig follows up behind, and the bouncer is like, hey, we'll let you in as a vampire, but if you eat a single person in there, you're out and you're dead. And she's like, that's racist, thinking that a vampire. Clearly I'm not going to eat anybody. It's fine. So she makes her way in. The bartender gives her a hard time too. But then the magician says like, don't worry, she's here with me. So bartender says like, oh, hey, you want to see a magic trick? And he takes 2 shot glasses, put a napkin under one, and says, I'm going to move this napkin underneath the other shot glass without using my hands. And so she's like, all right, let's see it. And he's like, barkeep, could you move the napkin under for me? And she's like, that's cute. You want to get out of here? And he's like, are you serious? Like, that's all it took? I can do way more impressive things. And she's like, yeah, sure, let's go. So he admits as they're leaving, like, hey, like, just to be clear, I know you're a vampire. If you try to turn me, I will turn you into a toad. Like, I am an actual, like, magician. And she starts making out with him. And then Andrew comes up and just like, hey, your name is Charles Francis Thompson. I know everything about your past, but the main thing I know is that you have magical skills that are off the charts. Like Constantine would be scared of you if Constantine had any idea who you were, but you stay real low about it. I want to talk to you about the Avengers initiative. No. So he basically tells him, like, vampires have always done this thing where they just go out and make an army out of literally anybody they can come across. I'm doing something different. I'm going to make an army to take over the world, but I'm going to use only the strongest people because I can afford to be that selective. And I want you to be that general in my army as we take over the world. And he's like, I know you. You're Andrew Bennett. Everyone's been talking about you. Do I have to be a vampire? And he's like, yeah, that is kind of part of the deal. It's like, all right, well, if we're taking over the world, it looks like I'm not going to get laid tonight anyway. And Tig's like, oh, yeah, don't worry. This is so much better than getting laid, as she bites into him and turns him into a vampire. So Andrea Sorrentino on art is fantastic. And it is part of what made this series just so incredible to me. The mood that Sorrentino has put onto this book is incredible. And I don't know if anyone's really going to be able to imitate that moving forward, or even if they're going to try, but it is hands down just possibly the best art out of the entire New 52, and Sorrentino will be sorely missed off this book. In terms of this particular issue, it does feel like kind of the middle issue where we're just setting things up into places so that we can have a bigger fight later on. So nothing particularly incredible. I do love the kerosene moment. I think that was fantastic. But beyond that, it's just kind of a middle issue. So overall, I'm going to give this one I'll give it a 7.5. I think it's very good. Obviously, the series has been off the charts. This particular issue is just kind of a passing by moment. It's nothing too incredible, but still always worth checking out.